You see, designers are realistified famous logos. Designers are making them complicated, even ruining them by their designing skills. So I thought, why not combine all these concepts, put it in a single video and see what will happen. Maybe I'll surprise everyone, including myself. I guess we'll find out. So let's roll it. Alright, the first logo that I'll turn into something remarkable is of Android. While looking at it, it feels like a robot.
Hello everybody.
So I'll give that same vibe. Before that, let's turn on the transparent mode. Yep, that's better. So for his main body, I found this can PNG, and by transforming it, I can give this a shape of the original logo. And for his round head, I have this helmet. Later in the process, I'll make it look like a metal. Now a metal texture with overlay blending mode, and I have to make it green because original logo is green. I mean, there's no need to think about it. It's obvious thing to do. Then I try to match the lightness so that it has an even tone throughout the surface. What if I use this upper part of this can as a neck of this robot instead of making a floating head? Now the hands. Same metal texture, some shadows of the same darker green color to make it 3D. Now the second one. Now what? His eyes. Time to give him his legs. Now at this point, I can say that realistification part is done. You know what that means? That means realistification part is done. Now let's give him some flat shoes so that he's able to stand on his feet. I think this looks good if his eyes is white, some shadows to make it spherical. Now I can move further and implement the idea that I have in my mind. And that goes like, I want this to look like his head is connected to his body with the help of a spring. And this spring is no longer able to hold this head because of losing strength. And few more elements which you will see. Now let's put his head on the desired spot right here. It should be little bit bigger because now it is closer to us than his body. And this shape so that his head look like a hemisphere, I guess. I hope all these things are making sense to you. Now the spring, and to find this spring in high quality, believe me, I had to suffer a lot because searching particularly for this one took longer than I expected. But at the end, I get what I want, so it doesn't matter. Now the hands position, some touching shadow because they are touching each other. This spring is quite bright, so yeah, that's good. And all these shapes are too. There you go. Few more shadows. Then I decided to break his body, only a little portion, and for that I found this PNG which will work perfectly. Let me just put it here and here as well. Now I have to raise the smooth edges. After that it will look nice. Then I realized it is not working, so I decided to add a already broken tin like this. Few adjustments. Now it's a part of his body. A grungy texture around these holes because it is getting worse. Now it starts looking something. I think it is nice to add some kind of a green oil that is falling from his head. I don't know this robot is running on oil or not. I'm adding it because I thought it would look cool. And I cut his antenna because I know at this point of time they are not able to catch any kind of signal. You know what? Let's take out his eye. Black socket, white eye outside of that socket, some shadows to make it sphere. And the another spring which is accountable for holding this eye. Some oil should be on the ground too. Then I thought one is not enough, so let's take out his another eye and make him totally blind so that they will never take over the earth. And after making few more adjustments, here is your first design. I also added this small sign. Now it is perfectly fine to ruin your experience through your Android smartphone. And whoever thinking they are not affected by this because they are not Android user, then next one is for you. So I know, you know, I mean everyone knows it's an apple. So I found this fresh apple, just came out from my backyard, little bit warped to match with the logo. What if I just put this in that apple logo shape? Yeah, that's still I have to do some work. Now it is looking quite nice. And for this part I have another apple. I know it is green, but I can make it red, so it will work. Now let's turn it into red. Now the leaf, I need to adjust it as well. Shadows on the apple. And I think realistification part is done. It was quite simple, right? Okay, time to take our another step. Maybe I can add this eaten part here, or maybe I can make it bigger by adding this. You know what? Forget everything. Let me just place it in the original spot right here. I know it is not looking fresh bite, but we can digest it. One more thing, apples are not red from inside. That means I have to remove this effect from here. I've made it look like an old apple, so let's make it even older. Now you might be thinking how? Well, just add few rotten apples rotten part like this right here. Now it's a rotten apple with a fresh look. Maybe I can give it a real life scenario by adding these houseflies. And I don't know the reason, but somehow this leaf turned into black. Maybe that is because of it's a leaf of a rotten apple with a fresh look and a missing part. Now it's getting there. Let's make it even more interesting. A worm on the leaf. Now we know the reason why this part of the leaf is missing, because this worm has eaten it. And after few little correction, now we have our second design. Alright, the time has come to take our last step, and that is for Twitter. Nowadays everyone is talking about the newborn baby, this one. So I thought it is the right moment to go for the OG one. So for that I found this bird. And why this bird? Well, I did some research and they said that this logo is inspired by a hummingbird. And here it is. Also it has this shape and a pointy tail which is required in here. Okay, first let's go for her body. Little adjustment, just like that. Now her head, big round head. Let's blend it together. And the little correction in her eye. Now this wing. And you know what? Instead of placing this directly in a one piece and removing the unnecessary part, I'm gonna add them one by one because it will look good and more detailed. Let's blend these wings, yeah, like that. Now the bird's beak. Let's connect this to the bird's head, and this should be blue just like the logo itself, and I can do it easily with the help of a hue and saturation layer. I have to remove this color from here and here as well, because there should be more than one color. Little bit shadow to the beak to give it a roundish shape. I think this whole design needs some brightness, and there you go. And I have to say it again, here is our realistification part is done. It is looking quite nice. So let's feed her a snake, because this type of bird usually does not eat the stuff like this. Little more adjustments, and here is our final design. It was looking quite nice, so I decided not to go further. And yeah, now tell me which one is your favorite. I'm out.